In the quiet valley of Elden Hollow, nestled between towering mountains, life had always been peaceful. The townspeople farmed the fertile land and shared stories by the firelight. However, that peace was shattered when a fearsome dragon, its scales shimmering like molten gold, began to terrorize the town. It swooped down from the mountains, raiding livestock, setting barns ablaze, and leaving the townsfolk trembling in fear. The dragon, named Serathrax, was as cunning as it was powerful. Each attack left the town more desperate, and soon the villagers were paralyzed with dread. The elders gathered to discuss the menace that had turned their once thriving community into a place of despair. "We must take action," declared old Mayor Thorn, a grizzled man with a long white beard. "If we do nothing, we'll lose everything we hold dear." But what could they do against such a creature? The bravest knights had fallen to Serathrax's fiery breath, and their weapons were no match for the beast's tough scales. As the town's morale sank, a young blacksmith named Lyra stepped forward. She had watched the attacks unfold from her forge, her heart aching for her friends and family. "I may not be a knight, but I can forge something that could help us fight back," she said, her voice steady. "If we work together, we can create a weapon powerful enough to challenge the dragon." Inspired by her courage, the townspeople rallied behind her. They pooled their resources, gathering iron from the mines and materials from the wreckage left by the dragon's assaults. Lyra led the charge, hammering away day and night, fueled by determination and a fierce desire to protect her home. As the weeks passed, the weapon took shape, a massive harpoon designed to penetrate the dragon's tough hide, but they needed something more, a way to launch it high into the air to reach Serathrax. That's when Lyra remembered the old catapults used in the town's festivals. They could be repurposed for battle. With the help of the villagers, they rebuilt the catapults, adjusting their mechanisms and adding a basket to hold the harpoon. They worked tirelessly, their spirits lifting as they saw their plan come together. Finally, the day arrived when Lyra and the townspeople felt ready to face Serathrax. They set up the catapults in the fields outside of town, hiding behind the hills as the sun began to set. The dragon, drawn by the scent of smoke and the sound of the villagers preparing for a fight, soared above, its wings casting shadows over the land. "Now!" Lyra shouted, her heart pounding as she climbed atop the nearest catapult. With all their strength, the townsfolk pulled the ropes, launching the harpoon into the sky. It flew true, piercing the air with a whistling sound before striking the dragon's wing. Serathrax roared in pain, spiraling downward. It landed with a thunderous crash, shaking the earth beneath them. She climbed up a nearby boulder, yelling above the din of battle. "Aim for its eyes! Blind it!" With a newfound sense of purpose, the villagers focused their efforts, throwing stones and flaming torches at Serathrax's eyes. The dragon, blinded and disoriented, thrashed in anger, but the townspeople pressed on. As the battle raged, Lyra spotted a glimmer of silver around the dragon's neck, an ancient amulet. Remembering the tales of the dragon's greed, she realized it was the source of Serathrax's power. "If we can take the amulet, we can weaken it." With a determined shout, Lyra rallied a group of brave villagers. They dodged flames and claws, working together to climb onto the dragon's back. Lyra reached for the amulet, her fingers grazing its cool surface. With a final desperate tug, she yanked it free. A blinding light erupted from the amulet as it fell to the ground, and Serathrax let out a deafening roar, thrashing wildly. The dragon's strength began to wane, its fiery breath flickering out. Seizing the moment, the townspeople pressed their advantage, surrounding the weakened dragon. With one last, concerted effort, they drove the harpoon deep into its side. The beast fell with a thunderous crash, finally subdued. As silence enveloped the valley, the townspeople stood breathless, staring at the fallen dragon. It was over. They had defeated the terror that had haunted them for so long. In the days that followed, the villagers celebrated their victory, honoring Lyra as their hero. They buried the amulet deep in the earth, ensuring it would never again bring danger to their home. From that day forward, Elden Hollow was no longer a place of fear, but a community united by courage, resilience, and the strength to face whatever challenges might come their way.